I have to break down that there are two key components or two key issues that cause us to have heartbreak early on. Is we rush in, we commit too early to someone when we don't have enough data. And the fact that our minds have a lot, we are not aware of the illusions of the mind, further complicate the data gathering aspect. The data that we get from our mind, from what we see, are not objective. They are distorted. And sometimes these illusions can last for some sources say 3 months, 6 months, or years. If we stay too long in this so-called honeymoon phase or idealization phase, it can last for very long, and it causes us to not have objective data to evaluate someone. So objectivity is not just about data, but also framework and understanding psychology. So the first illusion that I want to mention is the halo effect and confirmation bias. These two go together. I think a lot of people have heard of the halo effect in psychology before. It's in dating, it's in job selection, in interview. Basically, it's more common among when we see attractive people. When we see someone attractive, we tend to assume that they are good people, that they are good at other things. But it's also not just about look. It's also about having a certain key qualities that they excel at, like being smart, being competent in certain things. And when we see that they are attractive, they are competent, we assume that they are good at everything else, or they are a good candidate. And when we have this halo, when we put this halo on that person, like being very attractive, very competent, we tend to have subsequently have this confirmation bias. By we actively filter out red flags or unfavorable data about that person, and we only look at the positive quality, or we will spin the information in a way that make that person look good. And that is how self-sustaining idealization of someone happen for months or even years. Does that make sense? Halo effect and confirmation bias. The second common one is projection. So especially among people who are inexperienced, or people who do not have a strong grasp or basic foundation on psychology or on people reading, we tend to naively assume that people have a similar mindset to us, that people generally share similar thoughts and values or quality as we do. So like we see someone attractive, we don't have enough data, but we only know like 10% of that person. But because he attractive, we tend, or might subconsciously project a lot of favorable qualities and similar quality of that to that person. Like, okay, if I'm a sensitive person, he or she must also be very sensitive. Or if I'm a religious person, or I'm a very law-abiding person, I assume that he must also be having that similar quality to me. That is projection. That is more specific about, over assume that people are similar to us. Illusion number 3, believe too much in potential. So this is similar to projection. That is about projecting a future scenario, but it's less about similar qualities or similar mindsets. It's more about, we believe that in the future, if the person knows you better, if you become girlfriend or boyfriend, or if you get into a committed relationship, that person can change. He will become better. He'll become more available. He or she will treat you better. Now maybe you wait and he doesn't text much, he doesn't initiate much, and you say, okay, maybe he's shy, maybe he will become a better partner later. So we believe in potential, we believe in hope too much. And a lot of time but how long is that hope? How many months, how many years are you going to give that person? And hope, because the truth is, from my experience, from my learning about books and everything, it's only get harder. It's very hard to change anyone. And if you are in a committed relationship, if you are in a long-term marriage, it is going to get worse. The quality of that person is going to get worse. You know, when the novelty or the excitement wear off, when things are no longer exciting, people will show themselves the truth about themselves more, and it's going to get worse. So, if that person do not treat you very well at the beginning when things are exciting, how can you expect that it's going to be better? That is at least my realistic take about how dating should work. Because a lot of time people tolerate too much of toxic or inconsistent behaviors based on hope they can change that person, they think will get better. It doesn't. This one is a bit different and slightly deeper. It's about the savior complex. Or we are attracted to what is missing in ourselves. Instead of working on ourselves, we find people to save us, to complete us. So this is coined by Carl Jung, a very famous psychiatrist behind MBTI. And so Carl Jung proposed that we have this secret idea or subconscious idea about a perfect soulmate, a perfect person of the opposite gender, who is an idealistic projection of our perfect half that can complete us. You know, um, like they possess those qualities that we secretly wish we have. But Carl Jung said that these are just infantile and idealistic notion that simply point out to the fact that we should be working on these weaknesses or this quality ourselves instead of expecting our partner or the next person to solve it for us. For example, I myself, this is very true for myself when I was younger, because I was a bit more shy and sensitive, and I was more on the empathetic and more on the sensitive side. So I was easily attracted to the more logical, detached, and like independent kind of women. And the problem is that these women, they don't appreciate my quality because I don't even appreciate those quality in myself. I always be at the losing myself and losing my boundary because I don't even respect my qualities as a sensitive man, or a very thoughtful person, introverted person. So I put that cold, logical, or like assertive women on a pedestal, and I allowed them, the unavailable or the toxic one, to like not treat me well, and I accepted that. But then I realized that after several years, when I start to become more assertive myself, more logical myself, I stopped to be attracted to these women, and I start to appreciate similar quality in partner who are similarly sensitive or more introverted like myself. And those people actually appreciate me better on a more equal footing, you know. So it took me several years to actually overcome this savior complex, you know. So it's the idea is Anima Animus by Carl Jung. You can watch a video here later if you want. I made a video about it. The last one, attracted to inconsistency or unavailability. Because this characteristic, toxic characteristic, actually create emotional highs. It induces a lot of dopamines in us. It's like gambling. Yeah, but I think I would say that number one, two, and three are quite similar. They are all about halo and projection and confirmation bias. Number 4 and 5 are quite different. 4 is about what's missing, and 5 is about being addicted to the emotional highs of inconsistent behaviors. And if a lot of you read about attachment style, which is quite popular, this type of inconsistent or unavailable behaviors are easily associated with avoidant attachment people. They can be very, especially they can be very open and hot at the beginning, and then they start to withdraw when the intimacy start to get real. They start to feel very, very vulnerable, and they start to withdraw or become very inconsistent. The point is that a lot of people do not do it on purpose. I'm not sure how many people actually read the books and actually apply this kind of manipulative tactics. I think a lot of people actually unconsciously just practice this kind of inconsistent behaviors because of their wiring. Either they have trauma in the past, or they just can't commit to you, or they don't like you enough. That is the hard truth. If you can't decide on someone, usually that is not a good sign that, because that person don't really can't commit to you after a certain period of time. Then you shouldn't be basing it on hope or projection that that person is going to change or going to pick you in the future. Okay, we have kind of covered the 5 common illusions that people have in romantic attachment. So the next part is, now we will go to the main part of the webinar, which is a dating clarity framework. This framework will help you to identify your long-term values and compatibility factors, and frameworks or methods to keep your mind focused on the objective data without falling for these different illusions that we have identified before. So there are a few factors. So for objectivity, we need to have healthy benchmarks like KPIs. Then we have need to have an objective ways to assess quality of a person without idealizing or hoping. Then we have compatibility, where we focus more on core values and long-term practical values. So let's talk about the first part, which is compatibility. So I mean, a lot of people fall for and place too much weight on short-term attraction. They think that, okay, attraction must mean something. Without taking note or paying attention to their long-term values and compatibility until it's too late. So this exercise will work on the compatibility and values parts. You need to be able to reflect and write down your non-negotiable values that is most important to you. And I break it down into 2 components. One is psychological needs and values. And the second component is practical values. Psychological needs and values are a bit more abstract. It can be very different for different individuals. Drive for example, for myself, I write down here a drive for growth and self-improvement, being hardworking, self-awareness and humility, and value freedom and passion. Especially the valuing freedom and passion part is very important to me. I mean, people can have all kind of values, you know, like being family oriented, being adventurous, with kids, like kids, different things. But from my own experience, after I reflect on my 10 years of dating, I realized that if I have to choose, these are the top 3 or 4 things that I will. And when I see someone with these similar values of wanting freedom and living their life to the fullest and not caring too much about traditional factors, it's like something that is very resonating with me. So for you might be different. So practical needs is more about concrete needs. Or do you want children? How many children do you want to have? Um, their look. I mean, it may sound superficial, but I mean, you need usually most people have a certain standard for how people look. Um, um, do you want to work overseas? Do you want to live near your parents? Do you need to take care of your parents? Um, or are you a career person? You need a wife who will stay home and take care of the household more and willing to sacrifice their career a bit. I mean, those are practical needs that are important too. You have to consider. Like something truly there. So for values, psychological values, those are something that is truly resonating with you in the long term. Or something like you disagree with the norms. Something that you secretly disagree with the society that you hope that your partner share with you. So for each of these category, 3 to 5 points is more than enough based on your past experience. And of course, it's a certainly work in progress. As you have more experience, you meet more people, you can note down on your list and rank them according to what is most important. I think it's a good idea as well to rank them top and bottom. I have my own list. I type them down so I can easily swap them or change them when I meet new people. Talk about the next one. Put it together. So how I put this into practice when we have the list of psychological values and needs and practical needs. So on this picture here, I will put that list and evaluate on the first date and on the fifth date. Okay. Like, okay, drive for growth and being hardworking, yes or no? Self-awareness, maybe at the first date, not sure. Value, freedom, and passion, not sure. If I see it match, is great, but if not, maybe I would decide whether I should give that person more chance and more time to evaluate. Same for practical needs, not sure or yes, to put it down. If it's clearly for the first date, several of these are not a good match. You can be more decisive about moving on. And on the fifth date, if you have more information, you can put yes or no, or like how many percent match. Or if it's a no, maybe you realize that it's negotiable for you. Or maybe something you can still consider if she have a different values that is in conflict, but that is negotiable for you. Some of the tips that I would like to point out. Yeah, be clear about when you don't have enough data instead of projecting, idealizing or projecting or based on hope. We need to be clear that, okay, I don't have enough data. I will wait. You may want to be frank and try to discover about this value as early as possible. Because it's very common for everyone to be more performative, to try to be on each other's good sides at the beginning, but it's a good habit to ask it early on about these compatibility factors. So my ideas of a good match is either the same, or at least that person is okay with it. A lot of the time that at the beginning, people won't argue with you or reject your values or your interests outright. But you need to pay attention to subtle things like harmless judgment or sarcasm, or like they turn away or they don't silence or a lack of interest in certain things you say. At the beginning, this can be subtle side of conflicting values and conflicting interests, which I think a lot of people miss at the beginning. Because at the beginning, I think that most of the time in the first 3 months or the first 5 days or 10 days, people won't be so frank or upfront about what they like or dislike. And also, it's good to differentiate between interests and values. Like Victor mentioned that, okay, it's good to have similar interests. I think it's a good thing, it's a nice thing to have similar interests. But sometimes we have to look deeper and ask ourselves, what are the ideas behind that interest? You might not need to have the same exact interest, but it's point to the values. Like, okay, you like to play sports, you like to do like go skydiving or scuba diving on this, and your partner, she like to travel to different countries. Not the same interest, but it's the point toward similar values of openness, adventurousness. So you both value adventurousness, values new experiences in life, and that is good. You don't need to have the exact same interest. Or like same for job, one person work in, let's say, medicine, one person work in IT. But as long as you both value hard work or learning or innovativeness based on what they share with you, then that is good. That is my 2 cents on something that will allow you to be more clear about long-term factor without limiting your choices. Does that make sense? We see compatibility, which is about the matching of values and similarity. This one is about being objective, establishing a non-negotiable healthy KPI for relationship. KPI stand for key performance indicators. For those who are not familiar with the corporate jargon, uh, of course, everyone has ups and downs and busy period with their life. But overall, you need to look at a few things that I have seen in different frameworks or different dating or romantic books, is that you need to look at consistency, initiative and effort, emotional availability, emotional maturity. So these are the one that I have condensed so far from my own experiences and research. My point is that these things are not about values. They are more common healthy behaviors that most relationships um, need to meet. Of course, the specific criteria for what is considered consistent, what is considered availability, vary between different people. You need to specify for yourself what you think is consistency. Is it texting every few hours? Is it meet up every day, every few days? But having this listed out before you evaluate the next person after a few days is important, so that you don't keep giving them chances for people who are really, really. My experience is that I have given my most painful dating experiences, is giving too much chance to someone. When I look back now, is they are clearly toxic or clearly unavailable, and I go like, how can I do that? So why am I not aware of these healthy things that people have told me before, and I don't keep them in mind? So, for example, I can be more specific with my own KPI here. Consistency in like, okay, they need to respond back to my message. Not dry texting, but really like meaningful messages respond to me. As a guy, I definitely have to initiate more about dates and stuff. But if a girl never initiate at all, especially after a few dates or after I have expressed interest in her, then that is not a good sign. If that person is clearly never take any initiative in meetup at all, or like search just the places or time to meet up, then that is not a good sign. Emotional availability. This one is different from time availability. Emotional availability is about depth. Like, are they willing to share a bit more intimate part of themselves? Are they willing to sit in with emotions, in sadness, instead of like dismissing your emotions or just trying quickly to move on? This is especially common among uh, avoidant attachment style people, where they are not comfortable discussing feelings. They always use work or being busy as excuse to not discuss feeling or emotions. Then that is not good. Because usually people view emotional availability as like weakness, like unhealthy behavior in people. They view it as a weakness, as a too much intimacy. I mean, at the beginning, I mean, in the first few dates, maybe you don't go too much into all this intimate stuff. But after like 5 dates, and you never heard any details about how they feel about life, their deep life philosophy, their family background, their more deeper, more intimate stuff, then that there's something wrong with that. I have met people who I have seen people who keep things very superficial for a long time. For whatever reasons, they are not emotionally available. They have they secretly have a wife or a partner. They keep using it as a side person. Very totally possible. Then naturally they don't want to share too much because they don't see you as a potential half, potential partner. A healthy person definitely want to share with you if they truly value you. Want you to understand more. So whatever the reasons, emotional availability, emotional depth is important. And lastly, emotional maturity. This one is a bit more, I would say it's bigger in scope when you talk about maturity. But it's similar to emotional depth. That person have to be able to reflect on two sides, be able to take accountability instead of blaming people all the time. This one I think maybe need a bit more, but maturity is something definitely have to look for. Um, Maybe I would follow up with you guys on maturity in another video or something.